Good afternoon, everyone, for our latest talk and chat about all things that we need to start up a wedding and photography business with photography and also video. Today I'm going to be concentrating on the video side of things because it's a major part of what my business runs now, and I'll talk about that too when we start to go through the business side of things later on. We've got John in, said hi, Terry said hi, Stuart said good evening from Florida, we've got a couple from the US. So nice to see all you guys here. Obviously this will build up with everyone as we start to go along with this live discussion today as well. Don't forget, if you are watching later on for not the live broadcast, you can leave your questions down below, and I always do get back to you personally straight away. I'll try to answer it straight away, so I'll get back to you as quick as I can. So leave those questions down below, and clearly if you have any questions, if you're part of the live broadcast, just leave it up on the live chat over there as well. I wanted to sort of discuss, like I said, I'm going to discuss Fusion with you today because a big aspect of my business, one of the things that separates me from other photographers, particularly, well, any that I know of around where I am, is that I offer Fusion, which means I offer a mix of videography and stills at the same time. I don't know anyone else that does that. Now, I'm not hiring anyone to do the videography, I'm doing everything myself. So basically, sometimes I'm holding two cameras, or I'll do a set shot with a camera, and then I'll put that camera down and I'll grab the video, another camera that's set for video, and I'll shoot video on that. Sometimes it even can be that if I'm using the A7R II, for instance, or the A6500, I can just basically press the record button and start shooting, and I'll do a video and stills basically at the same time that way too. So it has given me a really big benefit and difference over other photographers because I offer this as an aspect as part of my business. I've been able to get a lot more weddings because the bride hasn't had to hire a videographer and a photographer separately. Now, I don't, for instance, offer full videography. What I do offer is a 3 to 5 minute highlight reel, which is like a movie reel that you'll see. And if you go onto my YouTube channel, you'll see those because I've posted them on there before. And I'll link one on the side of the video up here later on so that you can see one of these videos that I actually do. So you'll get an idea about actually how they are. But it has been a major difference with my business. And I charge around about $1,200 for this added service. But I do also charge to hire another person to carry the gear around because the gear is an issue when I'm doing Fusion, because I do clearly have to take a lot more gear than if I'm just doing photography alone. And I'm going to take you through some of that gear now. Now just remember, a lot of this gear you don't have to use. I'm just showing you everything that I've got, and depending on what I'm going to do on the day, I determine what I'll take. But I have got an awful lot of gear that I'm going to show you, and I will tell you some things that I do take for every wedding, and other things that I show you, I'll actually show you that it's, I may take this, you know, or sometimes I just take this, or I may use it for just a portraiture session if I'm shooting video as well at the same time there. So yeah, so I thought that we'd go through that together as well. But what I wanted to show you too first was, I had the honor this week again of being published. I got put into another magazine, which was I think it's the, I can't remember what the name is, the GT Bride magazine has just published a wedding that I did, and I took people through this wedding a couple of weeks ago in one of my live discussion shows, and so I took people through that as well. So I've been put into this magazine. I've been in about 4 magazines this year published, which is an amazing thing when I haven't had to pay for any of them. I've actually just been selected to be put in there, so I haven't had to pay for any of that advertising at all. I've just been published, so I just thought I'd share that with you guys. It was an honor again to be published. I'm going to get a printed magazine from the company sent to me so that I can show that to my clients too when they come in. It's always a good selling point to show brides or potential brides that you know you have been published a number of times. So I just thought that I'd show you that. All right, so what we're going to do now, I'm going to take you through like I said, some of the hardware. This is like gear porn today, guys. It really is like gear porn. I love gear. I'm the biggest geek on earth, and I love to sort of feel gear and handle it, and so I'm going to show you quite a bit of gear today. Like I said, please don't feel like you have to have all of this gear, but it gives you an idea about what you can have if you're thinking about shooting Fusion, you know, video and stills at the same time, or even if you were considering just going straight into video, you could be using some of this stuff as well. So we might start with the camera setup that I actually use. So basically, I'm going to show you this, which is the A7R2, and I might just switch to this camera down here so I can show you on the ground what it looks like. This is a cage I've got. Now, I tried to look last night to see if I could find this cage from somewhere else, but I don't think they're actually being made anymore. But you need some sort of cage often if you're going to run video, because you need multiple attachments that you can actually grab as part of your holding the system and things that you're going to actually put on top. But why I love this so much is because you can just screw out here, and then you've got a grip handle that you can screw onto. And plus, it also has this device through here that can hold the all of your cables as well, so that they don't fall out. So it's a great system. I'll switch back to the other camera just so that you can sort of see how it works. So this is basically how it works, and it gives you something to hold on the left-hand side of the camera there, so it's something a little bit more steady. And it's just nice to hold. There's a little grip on the back that you can put your finger over there to hold on to. This is an external battery, so it holds this external battery, and the dummy battery will go underneath. I just haven't got that connected at this stage. But that's where these are good, because I can run all day with this battery. This will last me all day. I don't have to worry about changing batteries, because video does tend to drain batteries quite drastically. So with this, I can just run it all day, and I don't have to worry about that aspect of it as well. And you know, you get your extra ports that you can screw things into and stuff like that, and hold wires in with this device at the front. I mean, you don't have to get this cage clearly, but you might need some sort of cage to help you with mounting gear, and if you're using you know, like your video sort of screens to look back over to help with focus and stuff, you need that sort of thing as well. So I've got a number of cages that I use. I've got the A6500 cage, which is in another room. I've also got the A6300 cage, which I'm shooting with myself here. So that's in a cage as well. And it just lets you be able to mount other things on and hold it a little bit steadier than if you were trying to hold it by hand. Video is a little bit different than photography. With photography, I don't mind having the really quite small cameras. It's actually really, really nice. But I've found with video, the more chunky that the camera seems to be, the steadier your shot seems to be. So it tends to be a little bit different. You need a little bit of heft on cameras to hold them really nicely. Even though these have steady shot, a little bit of weight and size on this really sort of helps you to hold the camera. So this is a great little system, and like I said, I can just rewind that and then pack that away if I don't want that handle coming out the side. But it's great. But like I said, I looked at this yesterday. This one is a Motion 9. It's the R2S, but I think it's been discontinued. So unfortunately, I don't think you can buy it anymore. But there's millions of little cages around that you can actually buy. So let me know too if you guys have any cages that you like to use. Small rig obviously is a really big one, and that's what I've got with my A6500 and the A6300. And you can also get that now for the A7R2 and the A7 series cameras as well. So that's that. There's another holding device too that I want to show you, which is this device here, which is an Eldachrome little device, and I love this. Look, I don't use this all the time, but if I do feel like I'm going to be shooting more video particularly than photography, I may start to use this. The only reason why I don't use it all the time because it does add a fair bit of heft, but I'll show you how it works. There's a little screw that's on the top here, and there's a wheel at the back, which basically you just screw into the camera. And on the top of this, I'll just switch to this other camera so you can see. On the top of this, there's rubber sort of mounts so that it grabs the camera and it won't actually move, which is really, really good. But basically what it will do is if I screw this in, it does take a while to actually screw in. There we go. So it's grabbing it now, and it goes on nice. It goes on nice and firm and tight. So it is now quite firm and quite tight on there. Now the beauty of this is multiple things in one. So I'll switch back to this other camera so you can sort of see what's going on here. Now with this, there's some arms that I'll explain in a minute, but this arm that comes out from the back is really, really good, because what it does you need, a lot of people, videographers particularly, will have shoulder mounts that they hold on to their cameras, but this one sort of packs away, so it's really, really small and tiny, so it's not really in the way at all. You can put your tripod mount underneath here, so the Arca Swiss mount can go under there. But the beauty of this little device is that if I pull it out like this, I can then get it to the size that I want, and I just tighten this at the bottom. Then this becomes a shoulder grip. So what it does, it gives you that 3 points access. So what it's doing, it's giving me a point here, and it's letting me sort of grab that shot from here. And like I said, you can make this longer if you want to. You can pull it out a bit more, depending on what size you actually are. But it gives you a lot of support pulling back that way. Now the other thing as well is it gives you this little holder that's down the bottom. And the great part with this is, if I extend this fully down, this goes into your belt. So what it will do is it just clips in like this. It's grabbing the thing. Clips into your belt like that. And then what it's doing then, it's giving you that support through here, so I can walk around and actually shoot from this angle, which is really, really good too, because if you're shooting for a long time, you need that bit of support there that, you know, it helps you sort of hold it for a period of time. Sometimes if I'm doing portrait shots and stuff, I will use this to hold it if I'm holding it for a long time. Or if I'm actually going to shoot in the receptions, well, I can be holding one camera. I won't grab that one. I can be holding one camera like this, and I can actually be shooting video with the other camera, and that's been quite steady. So it does give you that ability to hold multiple cameras, which is really, really good. So that's that arm system. The other thing that this has as well, let me just fold this away. The other thing that this has as well are these two arms down the bottom. So I'm going to switch to this other channel so you can see what I'm doing here. Under the bottom, it's got these rails, which I can drag around to the front. Now, this is a video lens. So this is, what is this? I think it's a Samyang. This is a 24 1.5 millimeter lens. So it's totally manual focus. So it's not autofocus. But it's beautiful. I mean, the aperture ring's really smooth, and it has these big chunky wheels that you can grab onto, and I'll explain why they're important in a minute. But now that these rails are sort of pushed out to the front, that you can see here, I can now put a focus rig on, which I'll show you how it works. So this is the device that I'm going to use. I think this was a Lampart rig, and basically all it does is it just basically clips into this section here, like that, and then once you've got it, all you do is you line up these gears between each other through this section here. So you do that by, you can lock off here and you can lock off underneath. So let me just lock that in. Then what that will give you is a focusing wheel that you can go from. Now this is really, really good if you're trying to, say, rack between two set points, because you can use these wheels here. This pops up here and you can lock it off, and then you can rack between 2 points. The hard thing about the focus by wire with the Sony cameras is it doesn't rack focus very, very well because of the way the focus by wire system works. So this is a great way if you want to pull focus between two devices. And I'll just switch back over here. So that's how that system works, and like I said, is you just turn this around. I'll just tighten it, and then, you know, it gives you a beautiful smooth focus. And if you have the belt part back out, well then obviously you've got that support that comes through here as well. So this is a really good system that I do use if I'm doing more video sort of stuff that I'm going around. But like I said, if you're going to start lugging this sort of amount of gear around and you're doing fusion, you need to be running someone. You have to have someone that can carry this gear and pass it over to you, because it's too much gear to lug around on your own. So that's what I wanted to show you to start with, which, you know, is a great little setup. And this is an Eldachrome setup, which is really, really good as well. And I'll try and put the links for this in the description box down below, and it does give that nice hefty feel when you're holding onto this. And you could have this on a monopod obviously, and that will take all that weight away, and then you've got that beautiful focus that you can get as well. And with the screen on the back of these, focus is really easy to achieve, really easy to achieve. So that's the first thing that I wanted to show you. The next thing that I wanted to talk about too was this. I'll just show you this other little Eldachrome device as well. This is great, and I use this for photography and video. So it's a great little device for getting up close. You can put this on a tripod if you want to, and it sort of replaces the head of the unit. But basically, if I pull this out, this just screws in again with a screw on the top. But I love this for macros. So this is the macro lens that I've got on here. And all basically I'd be doing, like if I wanted to shoot something that's really, you know, close to the wedding rings or something like that, this will give me the ability to get up really close, dial in my exposures, and then get the shot that I need. So this is a great device for giving you these beautiful macro type shots, and I use this all the time, and it saves me having to lug out a tripod if I'm doing that type of thing. You know, and if I'm doing video, I might have the rings there and I'll flash a light across them to give that bit of movement, because you always want movement when you're dealing with the rings. So this is great, and you know, you can get this up to different heights and do different things with it as well. You know, it's really quite useful. And sometimes if you have to get way away, well, I'll just hold the back of it and it's still steady enough to even do macro work like that. I've just got a couple of people saying, hi Edward, how are you? Say hi guys if you are actually watching. It's good to know where you're from. So that's another device that I'm using as well, but that's another Eldachrome device that's out. And again, I'll see if I can find you the links for these. I'm not sponsored by these, I just use them. I'm not sponsored by anyone, so I just use the whole lot of them. The next thing I'd like to show you is the gimbal that I use. So the gimbal is this that I'm actually using. So I'm using the Came TV. I'll just step back a little bit. It gives you an idea about the size that this gimbal is. There's lots of different gimbals that are around. I really like this one though. I've had this for a little over 12 months and it's been amazing. I mean, there's clearly a lot now that are out. It depends really on what you'd like to use. These are a little bit more expensive though than the some of the other gimbals that are out there. I think this was around about $1,000, so it is a little bit more expensive, but they do have really good encoders in these, which I really like. For instance, if it's off balance, if it's not quite centered, I can just hold it and it'll then work from that point. It works really well with that. It's all keyless. You can set it up really quickly. But yeah, that's the main gimbal that I use. Now this will take an A7R II with the larger lens. It's not a 70-200, but it'll easily take the 16-35. You know, and all those sort of lenses, whereas some of the smaller gimbals can struggle a little bit with weight, whereas this is really quite strong. This one's been updated now though. There's an Optus, I think it's called, which is the newer version. And again, I'll see if I can put the link to that Came TV website on the descriptions down below as well, so you can sort of see those. So let me know guys what you're using for your gimbals. Like I said, there's an awful lot around there. This is only on just so I can leave it standing up. I mean, doesn't have to be on it. You've got your joystick at the front of this, so I can move the joystick from there. The battery's internal, but the battery lasts all day. It'll last me for hours and hours, so I never have to run out of battery. The top of this comes off, so if you're traveling, this will come off. So you know, it's quite small and nimble, so you can pack it up quite small, which is good. Which is a good thing as well. If you take that bottom part off, you know, it's really quite small. Yeah, so it's a great little device. So I'll put that over here. Now, some of the things that you must have if you're starting to do wedding videography is these. Oh, actually, before I show that, I'll show the little gimbals that I use for the iPhones. There's 3 ones that I've got for the iPhones. I've just bought this one because I'm going to try this one out. This is the Smooth Q. I'm going to give that a go. I tried it the other day and it seems like it works reasonably well. There's another one that I use, which is the older Smooth C. This is the model I had before that, but it's much more expensive than what the new Smooth Q is. And I'm also using the DJI one. which, to be honest, I tend to find that I like this one the best out of the three of them. So you can let me know what you guys think about that too, because at the moment I'm finding that if I am just doing iPhone videography, and some of the weddings I do, I will do some iPhone stuff, this one tends to be the easiest to set up, and it just tends to work a little bit better. But I am still trialing all three of these versions to see which one I actually prefer the most. So they're those gimbals. Now for microphones to wire up your bride and groom, I'm using two different systems. So I'll show you what I'm using for those. With the bride and groom and the minister or priest, I'm using three separate things. So I'll just show you what I actually used. These are ones that I bought initially, which is the Sennheiser. These are the ones that I got initially. So like everything I've bought two things of each. So I have got two sets of these Sennheisers, and I've got two sets of there is the Sennheisers. I'm also using the Rode Link, which is over here. So these are the Rode Links, and these two are the Sennheisers. I'll get rid of these two because you don't need to see these. Like I said, and because I'm paranoid about having two things of everything, I'll make sure that I back up every single thing that I've got. So if one of these fails, I have got a second set. Now I have got two sets of the Sennheisers, and I've got two sets of the Rode Links. You don't need four sets, but I originally bought these, but sometimes I found that the Sennheisers were open to get interference from radio, or if I did a wedding once where I was near a fair that was actually going on, and it was picking up things that were there. It was my fault because I didn't tune it correctly. If you tuned it, it will find a free channel, but I just didn't have time at the time, so I ended up putting these on, and there was a little bit of hiss that was coming from this other radio waves from this fair. Whereas I've found the Rode Link doesn't do that, because this is a wireless system which tends to be a lot cleaner for that. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with these. These are amazing, and these probably go further than what the Rode Links do. But the Sennheiser itself, you have to tune, whereas these you don't. These just work. So I've never had an issue with these. But these are bigger. These are much easier if you're trying to put them inside a groom's pocket or a minister's pocket shirt or something like that. So they're easier to put away and hide a little bit, whereas these are much more bulky. But like I said, I have been tending to use these an awful lot more. Another thing that I do use as a backup, because remember, if I'm using these, and I still will have a backup somewhere else, and what that will be is I'll use the zoom, because I'll put that somewhere like hanging in front of a speaker or something like that I can get a backup in case if these other systems fail. Because remember, if these people are paying you to do their wedding with audio is one of the most important things that you can actually do. So if I'm actually recording something, and I have had this happen to me before, I've had an issue where something's happened with these, it's peaking or something like that, and I've been able to go back to this and use this as a backup. And I'm also recording on the camera as well. So that's another thing. I'll even have a mic on the camera, which I'll show you now too. So they're the main, like wireless systems that I'm using. The microphones themselves, I'm using basically these two. I'm using the Rode, I think this is the Video Mic Pro. I'm using that one. I've now sort of changed to this other one that I'm using, but this one has a battery, so that's the reason why I often don't like to use this, because I'm always paranoid about batteries running out. Whereas this one, the Mic Mini, I think this is the Rode Mic Mini, this one doesn't use batteries at all. This runs just from your camera, so you just plug that into the audio socket, and then it'll actually, there's no battery required, and the quality really is about the same. So, I'm really happy with how this works. So I might stop using these Rode Video Mic Pros and just get a couple more of these that I have on the camera as well. This is where it's that advantage about having that your cage around the camera, because it gives you points that you can mount multiple sort of things like this. And there's a device that too I use. For instance, if I'm micing up the groom and the minister, I usually don't mic up the bride, but if I'm micing up both of those two, it's going to mean I'm going to have to get two mic inputs into the camera that I'm using. So I'll use this little device here. And what this does is it gives me a left and right speaker through here. So what I can do is I can put one device in the left hand side, and then I can stick the other device in. Ooh, I can't pull that out because I'm using it. I can put another device, say this, in the other side. Then this goes into the camera, into the your mic input, and then these just plug into your left and right on the back on here. And then you can control separately through here. You can run this as stereo or mono, so if you wanted them to be on mono sides, both different inputs, and that's usually what I do. You can do that, or you can have it just as a mono, both in the mix. I tend to run it stereo so that they're left and right, and then I can make them mono later on in Final Cut. So that's a great system too, and that just mounts on the top of your camera. So this gives you an ability to sort of put multiple units on. Normally it'll be two of these wireless devices, one on either side, and you've even got another one that you could run a separate one through there, you know, if you wanted to put something up there as well. So they're really, really good, and these are dirt cheap. I just got this from B&H, I think. It wasn't much at all. It was about $20, I think. So it wasn't much at all, but it works really, really well. Now I have 3 of these that I'll put around the reception area. I usually leave, when we're in the reception, for instance, like I said, I'll always mic up the groom, and there's usually the groom and the speaker. Sometimes, because they're using a microphone, the best thing you can do is to patch into that. And I use a Zoom H6, which is over here. I'll just show you what I'm using. I'll try and bend this over so you can see it. I'm using the H6, which is over here. I'm using that at the moment to talk to you through. This Rode video link is connected to that, so I can actually talk to you. Well, I'll patch that into the PA if I can, and then I'll record directly onto the Zoom H6. But as well as that, I'll put this onto the bench in front of them, and if they have a, you know, your I can't remember, is it called lantern or something? I can't remember, but I'll stick it there where it's hidden, so that at least you can still get a recording from here if that fails, or if they're peaking in the through that direct connection. So you've always got to have multiple ones of these around, and often I'll then also put one that's hanging from the speaker somewhere as well with a lapel microphone like what this is. I'll just stick that on the top, and then that will be just hanging down over the speaker. That gives me a third option in case if I have an issue. Like I said, you've got to, audio is an incredibly difficult thing to get really well at it, and I'm getting better and better as I've moved on. The thing with it is you have to have backups in case if things go wrong. You know, if there's a peaking, if there's interference that have gone into the microphone, something like that. Because audio usually is more important than the vision. So people can put up with fairly grainy vision and it won't bother them at all. But if you've got terrible audio, people will always complain about that, and they'll be wary of it. So make sure that you really concentrate on your audio aspect of it. Just let me say hi to a couple of people. Edward, Robert, hi Robert, and Studio 96 is here as well. Give us a thumbs up, guys. Let's see if we can get some more people on board. So they're the recording options that I actually use. And like I said, I've got backups of everything there that I'm using. Now the next thing I wanted to talk to you about, let me just move these, just so we've got a bit more room on this bench. The next thing I wanted to sort of talk to you about was this, which is an interesting thing that some of you may not have thought about, but I use these a lot. Now these are walkie-talkies. I use these quite often in the fact that I love my photos. Often the really beautiful ones are quite environmental, and that can be my assistant standing 100 meters away from me, and then I'll be zooming in. They may be across a lake or something like that, and you can't communicate over that distance. So these become really handy if you can't communicate. So, and these have an ear plug that you just put into your ear so we can hear one another, so they're not obtrusive to anyone. But these are great. These are just Uniden ones. I can't remember, they're about $100, but these are really good in that situation where you may have to control something like, you know, alter flash power, or just say ask the bride and groom or the model to move to a different location, or move slightly to the left, slightly to the right. It's very, very hard to do that if you can't communicate. So, you know, these are a great thing to have in your kit. And it's not many people think about that, but I've had some wedding planners and stuff get amazed when I bring these out, and they go, what a great idea, because they've never thought about it before. Sometimes when I'm at a wedding, I can be quite a fair way meeting the bride, and my assistant can be in the other area waiting for the bride to come in. They can't see them, and I can be updating them about what's happening through here, so they know what's going on. So that's another really good thing too. Another thing that I tend to use quite a bit is this little device, and I'm going to show you this because I love it. Sliders I use a lot, and I showed sliders yesterday, or the slider they use, which is an Eldachrome Slider Plus. But I wanted to talk to you about this little one because it's really, really cool, this thing. Let me just take this off, and I'll put it down. The only thing that I don't like about this is it needs a screwdriver to do up, but I'll show you what it is. I'll just switch to this other camera so you can see how it works. So this is the device here. So again, this packs up really, really small. I love to, for instance, and when we start going through the wedding, when I start showing you how I shoot the weddings, I'll show you where all of these are used, so you'll be able to relate to the type of shot that this is done. I use this often to sort of do video motion of the flowers, and it'll give a nice curve going around the flowers, and it's lovely to actually do. So how it works is you just basically lift this up, and I have to lift this up to get this screw in. I don't know why they don't come up with a wheel, which would be much better. So let me just attach it. I mean, it's not that hard to attach, but it just means that you've I mean, you don't actually have to even use that. It will hold as it is, but I'll just tighten it up a little bit more so you get the gist of what's going on. Now, the way that this works is it's got these folding wheels that you just basically lift out like this. So one will go there, one will go there, and the other one goes down there. Then what the wheels do is you fold them down. And basically what it becomes is a little cart. And if you're on a smooth surface, it works fantastic for getting beautiful smooth motion. And basically if you twist these around, you can do lovely little curves around whatever you're trying to photograph. And like I said, I use this all the time for doing nice smooth panning videos around, like I said, flowers and stuff like that I can use. You can even use this fairly straight. Like sometimes I've had just a board and I'll run it just going straight, which, you know, walking back and forth, but it's beautiful and smooth. It works so well, and it's so tiny when you pack it up. I mean, how cool is it? I told you this is gear porn. This is unbelievable. It's so nice to use, and like I said, if you twist these, you can go into sort of any sort of shape that you wanted to go to, depending on how you wanted to move around. So, you know, it's really, really good. And when you're finished, basically all you'll do is you'll just push this down and then twist this back again, pull the wheel down, twist that right down like that, put it back again, that to there, put it back down again, and then it's only that size to actually take. I love it. I use this in every single wedding. I mean, you can even use it like this if you want to. It will actually go that way too. But yeah, it's fantastic. It's really, really good. So that's an Eldachrome. I wish they did sponsor me. That's an Eldachrome thing as well. I can't remember the name of what it's actually called, but like I said, I'll put the website up so you can have a look and see what it actually is and how you can order it and how much it costs. I'm not quite certain the price on what those actually are. So that's that one. Sometimes I'll also use this device, which is the this is the Shogun. I'll use this sometimes on top of my camera, and that's why I'm saying it's important to have those mounts that you were dealing with before, which takes the weight off the camera. Because if you were using something like this and you tried to use the your actual flash attachment, it's not very good for the actual camera. So you've got to be careful in using that. So you'd be much better if you're doing that to mount this actually inside Let me just move this around. It's much better to bring this and use a separate point like that to mount it to, because then you're not putting any pressure at all on your flash, which it shouldn't be stuck into here, because it'd be no good. You know, there's just no, you're putting all that pressure in it, and you could break it, especially when you're dealing with something like this, which is, you know, Shogun with a hard drive on the back. There's a reasonable amount of weight on this, so if you're going to do it, get a cage and then mount it separately on a cage rather than having it on your camera itself, and that works really good. And like I said, I use that quite a bit. I use that a lot of the time when I'm shooting in the studio, and it works really well. What I like about it is the shots already come out encoded, so I don't have to encode them later on inside of the software that I use, which is Final Cut. So the images are really good, and I bought that originally because it gave me 4K out of the A7S. So I'll get rid of that. Certainly helps you with focusing and stuff though, if you're using a decent sized monitor like that. The other thing is too, don't forget to use multiple batteries. So if you're going to do it, this is another battery device that I'm using. These are just a power bank, I'm not sure what they are, but they're dummy batteries that you can fit inside of your A7 series cameras. There'll obviously be one that comes out, well, there is one for the A9, but only a proprietary one. There'll be third-party ones that come out, but this gives you a much longer running time. Like I said, I showed you the one that was on this one. This is a Veravon that's on here. This is much bigger. These are really good too, because when you're actually dealing with these, if I press the button there, you can see how much charge is left in the actual battery. And like I said, these will last me all day. So these are fantastic for making your camera last a long time. When you're shooting video, photography is not an issue, but if you're shooting video, it will run out very quickly. So it's nice to have these external battery packs. This one here is good because I like to use this with my cameras, because it's just got a belt clip, and I'll just belt it to the side of me and then just run that up to the camera. So, you know, this doesn't add any weight at all, and it also stops the camera from overheating. Well, I mean, I've never had it overheat, but this will help in that regard, because this doesn't get hot, unlike your normal battery that you're running, where it can get reasonably hot. So that can be a problem. So don't sort of discount your third-party batteries. The other thing that you have to do too, or think about using, is all of your filters. So I've got all of these ND filters for different size lenses. I mark them all on the front here, which ones they're for. These are for the Batis, the 85mm, and I've got different ones. I've got an ND8. I've just got variable filters. I've got the 49mm variable density filter. This one's for the 55mm and the 35 2.8 lens that I've got. And on this one over here, this was for the 70-200. This is variable, 3.5, 1.4 lens that I've got, the 35 1.4. And I've also got some here as well. These are the 72mm thread for the 70-200 and the 35 1.4, and also the 18-105 and the 62mm as well. So they're all inside these things. So I've labelled them so I know what's what, and I can just grab them out and put them on if I need to use the variable ND filters. But to be honest, I don't really use them. They're there if I did want to use them, and I'm using that filter system where they're on a magnet, so they will just snap on. So they're really quick to just snap on. I don't have to screw them in. That's what this part is here. It's actually a magnet. But the great part is, if I do want to quickly put them on and take them off, I can. I usually just crank the shutter. Now, it may not be the right thing to do, but I've never ever had anyone complain. I'm not shooting action. I'm just shooting weddings and some portraits. So for me, it doesn't matter. If you were shooting high speed motion and things like that, well, then you might start to get the juddering. But I'm quite comfortable just to rack the shutter speed up. Because I'm working so fast, I really don't have time to start playing around with things. and I've found the more that I start to fiddle around with things, the more I can make mistakes. So I'm tending not to use NDs, but that's me. That's the way I'm shooting. So you have to make a decision on whether you'd like to go sort of that way or work the traditional way and use NDs. I mean, clearly if you want to use NDs and then you can use your right shutter speed, you know, of 50th of a second, well then you will get a nicer, smoother result. But I'm just cranking it right up sometimes. And again, like I said, I've never ever had a bride that's complained to me or say that they don't like what it looks like. Photographers sometimes have said that, you know, it's maybe stuttering a bit, but like I said, they're not my client. The clients that I'm dealing with are happy with what I'm producing. So that's another thing that I use as well. I also use these as well, so I'm tending to use 2 of these. I probably won't upgrade to the latest version, I may, but I've got the Hero 3 and the Hero 4. I'll stick these sometimes on tripods. And the other thing too is I like to use these on facing into a car or something, or with them looking through the windscreen, or driving, and then I can use that, and I'll just mount them onto this car suction cup, and that works really, really well as well. So that's a really good device too to have for people, and I use that often, planting it on the front of the car, looking directly back into them in the driving seat, and that gives you some really nice results too, and it looks fantastic. And if obviously I've got water housings, if we ever did stuff in the water and stuff like that I can use these for as well. So I've got those. The other video thing that I'm tending to use quite a lot now is this, which I'm using an awful lot now. So this is the Phantom 4. I may upgrade this year, I'm not sure, but I'm still really happy with this at the moment, so I'll just have to see. The only thing I'd probably like to do is, I may get the Maverick Pro because it's easier to travel, so I'm just going to have to see about what I do about that, but whether the quality is just as good. So if you can, let me know, guys, if any of you have got this model. This is the Phantom 4. Let me know if you've moved to the Maverick and whether you're happy with the quality of that. But I'm using this now a lot for weddings as well, and like I said, I'll post one that you can sort of see how that's being used. So that's what I'm using for that. So that's probably about all that I need to sort of discuss with you. So do you have any questions on anything that I've been showing you guys? Throw in some questions. If you haven't, obviously if you're tuning into this later, you can't see the questions that are there. So if you'd like to leave questions down below, I'll get back to you as quickly as I can as well, and we can talk about that. I'll discuss that later on, and make sure you just ask me too any questions that you want me to cover in this series as we start to go through some things as well. Now tomorrow will be the normal live news, Sony rumors, news, etc., and I'll be showing a shoot that I've done and discussing how I did that. So that'll be tomorrow's live shoot. So this series will begin again now on Monday. I'm running a workshop here on Saturday to a bunch of clients, teaching them off-camera flash, so I won't be able to post anything probably on the weekend. So tomorrow will just be the live shoot, the live video discussion that I always come with Sony rumors, etc., and a live, and I'll show you a shoot I've gone through. And then I'll start this talk again next week. I've really only got the bags now to show you. I'm going to show you how I carry the gear around. So that will be probably on Monday or Tuesday. And then I want to show around the studio and stuff like that. But then we're going to start going through the nitty-bitty of the business side of it, which we'll start to discuss how to set up your software and what software I use, how to set up your website, how I do orders, how the orders come into me and things like that. So we'll discuss all that over the coming weeks. Yeah, so got any questions, guys? There's a few watching, so let me know if you have anything at all. It doesn't have to be related to this. Let me know if you've got any questions. Otherwise, we'll call it a day for today. Like I said, if you're calling in later on, you can leave the questions down below, and I will try and put some of these links in the description box down below. Hi Keith, how you going? I'm not sure whether you've seen everything if you've just joined us, but we've had a good discussion showing all the gear that I use. Now just remember, you don't need to have all this gear if you're starting out. I'm just showing you what I've got and I can choose from. You sort of have to make a decision on what you can afford. Please don't go into debt to buy this stuff. Build up slowly, and then each time you do a wedding or something like that, just sort of buy another piece of gear. It's one great way of doing it. So Keith is saying hi to everyone. So any questions? Do you have any questions, Keith, before we call it a day? We're just about finished, so I'm not sure now if anyone has any questions that they'd like answered. I have to tell you, guys, if you are serious about becoming a really good or getting good business in wedding photography, try if you can to do what I'm doing and shoot video as well as stills, because honestly it's a hard thing to learn. But the issue with me particularly, I can manage just on weddings alone because I'm now quite high-ended, and I get as many weddings as what I can handle. But if you're trying to start out, you're competing with every other photographer that's offering these same packages or cheaper packages. You have to try and make yourself a little bit different to other people that are around there. And this is one way of doing it. Video is very, very hard, and that's why not everyone will offer it, particularly if you're going to do it all yourself. Because if you do it all yourself, you immediately are more, well, it's better for the bride, because often the brides can't afford to get a videographer and a stills photographer at the same time. Whereas if you charge half the amount a videographer would do and you're giving a 3 to 5 minute package, that is such a benefit to clients. Now I had a wedding booked with me 2 days ago. She was originally going to book me also for the video, but she did mention that she wanted everything filmed, and I'm not prepared to do that. I don't want to be a full-on videographer. So I said to her, no, I won't be suitable for what you're actually after, and I actually recommended a videographer that she's going to use for the day. So if they do want full video for the day that covers everything, clearly I'm not that, but I'm giving it as an optional extra of giving 3 to 5 minutes. And to be totally honest to you, probably 80% now of my couples are purchasing that package, which has given me another $1,200 on top of what I'm already doing. And I love it. I mean, I absolutely adore doing the video, and it's an incorporation of the video and the stills at the same time, so I'm loving it. Stuart said, does B&H carry most of this stuff you showed? A lot of it is covered in, if you go into my gear, Stuart, most of this stuff will be covered inside there, which is on Amazon. I haven't got an affiliate link with B&H, but it may. But I know if you I'll put my kit on the description down below, and you'll find nearly everything that I've covered will be covered in there. So have a look at that. The Eldachrome I'll put a separate link on. B&H do carry some of that, but you can buy it directly from Eldachrome. And the Came TV, you can also buy some on B&H, I think, or you can buy it directly through Came TV. They have a US store as well, and they have a European store, so you can buy it all through there. But I will check my kit out, because I've listed everything that I've got over the last week or 2 weeks. Everything basically is in there. Keith has said video is awesome, you know, and it is. And like I said, I've started not knowing anything about video at all, but I could see that for me particularly, there was no one offering this. No one offered Fusion anywhere, and that's what's made me different to most other photographers, and that is what's probably made my business grow more than anything else, is that I can offer this extra thing. And if I'm doing cake smashes in the studio, now I'll actually film them and I'll give it as a bonus, an added extra. If I'm shooting portrait shoots, I'll start to shoot that and give them an extra bit of footage that I can also on-sell. So it has all of these amazing things that you can on-sell to your clients, but you have to learn it well before you do it. Don't tackle it until you're comfortable with doing it initially. What I did initially was I'd start to run in weddings and do the photography, and I'd just say, look, do you mind if I shoot video as well, and I'll give you that as an added freebie. And they were fine with that. And that's how I built this up and the knowledge over time to actually get to do it. Because like I said, there's a lot to learn on audio and things like that. And it takes a lot of practice. But if you're willing to put the work in, I can guarantee it will help your business, and it gives you that thing that's different about these other photographers that you're trying to compete with. Because I guarantee very few photographers that are doing weddings will be offering video and photography from the same person. They'll always be hiring another videographer. If you can do it yourself, it's a big difference between how you run your business and how someone else will. Yeah, Keith said video's awesome. Keith said, nice call, David. Yeah, well, think about it, guys. Like I said, I'm here to help you guys. So like, I'm not paid by anyone to say anything. Even though I showed you an awful lot of Elderchrome stuff, I'm not paid by Elderchrome. Elderchrome, if you see this video, give me some money. I'm not sponsored by anyone. So, you know, I'm just talking about what I use and the gear that I actually use. Like I said, invest in the best gear that you can, but build up slowly. Don't go fast. I've showed you crazy amounts of gear over the last 2 weeks. But that's over a number of years of running this business. And like I said, I'm quite running a successful business, so I can afford to do this and write it off on tax. And I've built it up over a period of time. I've just put my A7 IIs up for sale on Facebook because I don't need them anymore. I'm probably going to replace those. So I've got 2 A7 IIs up for sale, which are now up there. So I'll see how I go with selling those. I usually don't sell stuff, but I thought I'm just not using them now because I've now got the A9, I've got the A6500, I've got the A6300, and I've got the A7R2. So I've just got too many cameras. So I'm thinking about selling 2 A7 IIs. So they are up there if anyone local would like to get them. That's about all, guys. So any last questions before we finish for the day? It's just about my lunchtime, your bedtime. Bailey meant to say you are so. Oh, thank you, Keith. He's just saying I'm awesome. That's great, mate. I really appreciate that. Like I said, leave any comments down below. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed to me. I really appreciate all you guys following me and supporting me. And I'm there for you guys as well. Like I said, I'm not sponsored by anyone, so I'm just going to tell you the truth. And I'm really going to give you some good information over the coming weeks about how I've set my business up. Well, that might be it, guys. So that's probably all for today. And I'll see you tomorrow for the live show. It's the Sony rumors, and I'll take you through a shoot that I've done and news and things like that tomorrow. So we'll have a discussion also about the A9 banding that I want to discuss with you as well. That's about it. For people coming in late, I did want to show you that I was just put into a magazine. I got published again. This is about the 4th time this year that I've been published without paying for it. And I'll talk to you about that when when we go through business stuff later on. So, all right, guys, I'll see you for the next talk tomorrow. So please tune in tomorrow around about the same time as today. And have a... Ratch just said, no, I just got here. Yeah, it'll be straight back online, mate, so you can watch it. You can watch it now because I won't... delete it, so they always go up online anyway. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you again tomorrow for the live show. Bye.